Well, I'll have to ask him again. I guess there are two kinds.
Oh, there's lots of kinds.
Yes.
I could get you some RC, some radio, Bluetooth coupled or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's RF and there's Bluetooth.
Yeah, and there's hardwired.
Okay, yeah, let's get started. We can talk more about that, after, at the end of the meeting. But I'd like to get started promptly for the people who did show up on time. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the Cascade Stereoscopic Club monthly meeting. If you have shared photos, especially thank you for that. And we are live streaming this to YouTube, and that is suitable if you want to use a device like a Lume Pad 2 or 3D TV to view things. But be sure to mute your audio, because the audio or the whole live stream is delayed by about 25 seconds. So Zoom is preferable for audio because you can talk and we can hear you and respond. Anyway, let me. So the theme for this evening is toys, and then of course we have open projector and show and tell, and then for people who are here in person, I have some lenticular prints from Peter, and so we can discuss it. I've asked Peter to share later the place he uses to get them printed, and we can talk about them. But of course, the best experience is for people who are here in person and can actually look at them. And then we'll talk about upcoming events and have our social hour. So to begin, let's take a look at the theme images. So first is Dave, and
there you go, toys. And you've all heard this. You can tell the men from the boys by the price of their toys. I can remember having one of these when I was little, and I can remember having one for our first kid. Pull it around and ding, 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 ding. You've probably all seen them. And most of our kids love these trolls, I guess they are. And I couldn't find a Cabbage Patch doll, but we had more Cabbage Patch dolls than I don't know, the school has kids. Oh, and here you've seen these, but my first kid didn't know what to do with what. He just poke a thing anywhere. Oh, and everybody likes a pet. And these are quite valuable. They're taco dogs, made in the '60s, I think. And I got two of them that have never been opened, and 3 or 4 of them that have been opened. Oh yeah, and no matter how old you are, a teddy bear or a stuffed animal is something to hug. That's one of my grandsons.
And it's easier to get those than real pandas.
Yes, yes.
Herb, you're not projecting the images. We have to go to the stereo pics.
Yes, or YouTube. I'm not sharing the screen. So basically, they're on my 3D TV. The advantage is if you go to stereo pics, and if somebody can put that in the chat, then you have your choice of viewing method. So I think that's what we've done in the past. We haven't put them on a shared screen.
Should we go ahead? Anyway, this is another grandson of mine who's Dad likes to buy really good toys, and he loves his train. And the next image is my other grandson, whose dad didn't buy very good trains, and he was just jealous till his eyes hurt that his cousin got a better train. Oh, and when I was a kid, marbles were the toys to have. This one probably cost about 75 cents back in 1950. And it costs about $5 today.
And what did you use for the close-up?
I'm sure I just took a shot with a phone.
Okay.
I didn't have anything special back then. And if you really like marbles, you got to have a bunch of them. There you go. And let me clue you: if you don't understand marbles, every one of those marbles are not available today. In other words, if you buy marbles, they're more like one of these ones on the lower end, and they're not as pretty as they were in 1955. Anyway, now you're getting into more expensive toys. This is a little carved man I think it's about 2 inches tall. And I think it cost me $30, $40. Get it in Europe, in China someplace. And here is something else. This is a real toy. That particular airplane was made out of sheet brass and cut with a laser, and each one of those little ribs were turned up to make it look something, and all the body and all the other parts were made out of sheet brass and turned up to make it that. And I think that little model cost about $200.
And for people who don't know, a standard or a low-priced laser, or even a high-priced laser, won't typically cut sheet metal. You need to have a special laser, a fiber laser, rather than a CO2 laser.
This guy there would make nameplates for antique cars. Originally, obviously they're not original, but he would make them like original, cut out of brass and all kinds of silver and different kinds of stuff. But he's spent a lot of money. But I really like that airplane, but I couldn't afford it.
So interestingly, I found a makerspace that I could join for about $150 a month. And one of the things that you can use there if you join that is a metal cutting laser, but it's never been important enough for me to pay $150 a month for that.
Anyway, here's the last one. Now there is a good toy, or maybe that's transportation. I don't know. I think the guy that owns it probably has it both. His favorite thing to do and his transportation. That's a V6 Boss Hoss.
Okay, thank you, David. And Matt.
All right. Herb, incidentally, Stereoscopic does seem to be giving it air. I'm following along on the YouTube stream, but Stereoscopic as well. I get a message, air while loading medium. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that, just a heads up.
Okay, that's very interesting. I wonder...
It's working okay here. Yeah, same here.
Okay.
It's working for me.
Oh, interesting.
Yes,
it's working for me too.
It's working for me too.
Okay, you might try, a different browser, or, quitting and restarting. I don't know what the problem is, Matt. I wish I could diagnose remotely.
Well, that's okay. I don't want to hold up the meeting, and I do have the YouTube stream on my tablet. So let's proceed, and you'll just have to be patient with me for the 10 or 20-second YouTube delay. But I do have plenty of toys.
Life size.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, the title of this is Combat, and this is a fun experiment with macro photography, compositing them into this scene. And yeah, you'll see a lot of Army men in this collection. Army men are great subjects for macro stereo. They're very patient, very dynamic, highly recommended subjects.
How did you get the shadows?
Yeah, I think a bit of. I think what I did is I made silhouettes of the figures and then skewed them to kind of roughly match the shadows. Looking at this, it's a nice overcast day, a nice ambient light, not really any harsh shadows, so I could really get away with, just sort of faking the shadows.
Very convincing.
Yeah, it looks good. Very nice.
Shadows are
fun,
the
thank
hardest
you,
thing
yeah.
to do.
And so, what did you use as the background? Did you just have a black background to avoid shadows on the background?
Yeah, I don't recall. It was probably just some black construction paper or maybe some blue construction paper or something like that. I have all of the original Photoshop files. I could dig those up. I'm sure I was, very careful in that background to make cutting them out as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this will come up for me in just a second. Yeah, see here, more Army men, some more fun with macro stereo, which I would have done on a slide bar with a DSLR, and certainly some very cheap macro lens, probably an attachment, like a magnifying glass over the lens.
And one of them, Howard, is that why he's yellow?
Yeah. Well, he's the tan,
Desert color.
Right. If you collect Army men, the different sides, the nations come in different colors. And the title of this is Composition in Green and Tan, I believe. And those were all Army men. They weren't cloned or anything. That's actual line of the figures. Okay. Giant robot at Bonestell Crater. This was a fun project over a holiday break that I put together in my garage. Had these little spacemen. The rocket and the robot were some inexpensive tin toys that I picked up somewhere, probably at a dollar store or something. And the rest is paper mache.
Yeah, so this one is fake news.
Let's see, this one hasn't come up for me. Oh yes, Jurassic Park 3D. The thing I'll say about this one, all these toys, many of the toys I actually found in my yard. We've lived in this house for 22 years now. It's an 80-year-old house. So there are many generations of lost toys to be dug up with gardening or landscaping or whatever. these backdrops, these scenes, these are all construction paper. Yeah, these are technically toys. These are lenticular postcards, which I collect, but they're very toy-like, and some of the subjects look like toys. These are a few from my collection that I like, and when you photograph them, you don't realize how 3D they are.
Hot Wheels, oh boy.
Let's see, Pinewood Derby.
Pinewood Derby, oh yeah, Pinewood Derby, yeah. Did your son, did they win?
The third one, rather the top one, that's the third year, the white sports car was the one that won the trophy.
For classic or for racing?
That would have been like classic, just
Yeah,
the drop.
Hey, we had two boys and we did Cub Scouts forever.
You probably have a whole collection of these.
No, we threw them, well, we lost them, but anyway, yes, yes.
Yeah, what can you do with them to photograph them?
Yeah.
That was an experiment with flash photography, off-camera flash. Nice light on that one. And yeah, Bigfoot in the woods. I have this Bigfoot figure sort of in that classic stride pose, and I had to play with him. So this is what I made. These are just branches and moss from the yard. And the moon, of course, is added in Photoshop. And yeah, reunion of lost toys. This is where they all come from. Dig a hole in my yard, and you never know what you're going to find. I can tell you that the kids who lived here before we did liked army men and dinosaurs.
And they buried them for you?
I think they would just get lost, left outside, you know, kicked around, rained on, get covered up, and, you know, you're a kid, you forget about these things.
Oh boy.
Space Shuttle Excelsior. It's a souvenir space shuttle that I got at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And we saw these little astronauts in that giant robot photo that was just shown a few minutes ago.
But I have a lot of hard time seeing the stars. I just can't focus them.
Yeah, this one was probably a little too hyper.
Yeah, maybe that's it, because they just, anyway.
Yeah, you know, the deviation is pretty high on this one.
Yeah.
And I think these qualify as toys. These are dog toys. As a tribute to one of my past dogs. He was a ferocious beast, but very gentle with his toys, and I still have them. These, of course, squeak when you squeeze them.
Okay, so thank you, Matt, and Carl.
Those are great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Aliens for Sale. This was in a thrift shop not too far from where I live. Most of these pictures that I have in here are just things that I saw, so I didn't adjust anything. This was actually through a glass case. They're all kind of pop culture. Yeah, so these photos, I visited my brother this month, and I haven't visited him in many years. And it turns out he's a pop culture toy collector, and I did not know that. So there's lots of toys here. I recognize some of them, not all of them. You might recognize some. That big one is Ultraman.
Oh, he's got a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I had no idea. I didn't even take pictures of all of them, but some of them.
Hello, Dorothy. Welcome to the meeting. So the images are all being shared on StereoPic's rooms, and if you don't have the link, somebody can give it to you in the chat.
Hello. No, yeah, I think it's already open on the other side
Okay.
of my computer. Yeah, so I saw that.
Okay, thanks. And,
There's some Godzillas there. Yes. This is a hamburger zombie. And it was just sitting there. I took a picture of it, and looks like he's got a lot of extra unopened action figures there to look at.
Is that one of the McDonald's ones with the disease on it?
Hey, that's a big
Possibly.
quarter pounder. Don't.
He's past his expiration date.
Yeah,
Well, especially right now, right? They're on the news
it's topical.
lately for sending people to the hospital in. Isn't it in your area?
it's I think a lot of states. I think there have been some in Oregon and.
The onions.
Mm.
Yeah, so this is a maquette that he made. He's a comic book artist, and this was like he was like investigating a possible character, and it's called Galacto Pit Fighter. He made 2 comics with a large gray man there, and then more toys there on the bottom. And this was coming back through the airport. This is in our airport here. I took this through a glass. It's a glass display, and that's from the stop motion animated film Pinocchio.
Oh, okay.
It's Volpe.
What did you use for a camera for that one?
This was a iPhone, so it was kind of a cha-cha. Yeah.
Nice.
And so the next one is a same character split in half, so you can see
the inside.
the armature on the inside.
So it actually moves.
Yeah, stop motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, this is from the movie. This is one of my daughter's toys, a ball. I brought it. Rubber ball. And I'm nearsighted, and I had corrective lenses in when I took this photo. So I didn't actually see how dusty it was, and I did not see the China label. So those were surprises to me. But I was trying to light the glitter on the inside of the ball. That was my goal, was to get the glitter.
Sometimes photographers are lucky. Most of the time, not.
It's texture.
Texture, there you go, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Carl. And Bob now.
I'm ashamed to show my army men after math, so hey, just keep going.
But aren't they a great subject?
Yeah, they're fun. Beanie Baby craze, whenever that was. I think that's what that is.
Yeah, I wish I still had some now. I wish I had some new in the box.
Yeah.
I just watched a documentary on that. That everybody went crazy about those
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies, and then it crashed.
Yeah, I watched into those. Interesting. These are G.I. Joes. I grabbed stuff from my son's toys when he was a kid, and these are the bigger ones. They're like, I don't know, 10 inches tall or so.
We found a G.I. Joe's in our old toy box, and it had its shoes on. And my daughter said, "Save those shoes. The shoes are worth about $40." And the G.I. Joe's only worth about 10.
I didn't even know that the shoes would be removable.
They're not like that. They were anyway. Well, it wasn't G.I. Joe's. It was Barbie's boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, Ken.
Ken. Yeah, excuse me. That's who it was. Excuse me.
Not sure who this is. I think he's called Captain Planet. That was one of his nemesis. Little Civil War action. Cowboys and Indians, of course.
So it came with the tent.
Yeah, it's like half the teepee. And I did those shots on the floor. My dog kept getting in the way and wanted to steal the things. I was getting mad at him. So I took a picture of him with his toys under the table.
They're my toys.
He looks like he's not really happy either.
He's afraid of getting yelled at again. Yeah, they were toys. And you gotta have some farm equipment in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Of course, wild animals.
Boy, that's really coming out of the screen.
Yeah.
Good though.
Oh, this is a lunar lander. Let me try something here. This is I have like a 3-foot tall Saturn V rocket. You turn it on, it vibrates like it's going to take off, and this is the actual size of that picture.
Wow.
So that's what the Apollo 13 astronauts had to climb into when they had that oxygen tank explosion. They had to move from there. They had to take their command module, shoot it away from this thing, and then turn it around and go and dock with it, and then climb into this thing. So they had an oxygen supply when they were coming back to Earth.
Yeah, some people think that being an astronaut is exciting. I think it's a lot of discomfort and.
Yeah. So pay attention to that little ladder there on the front. Now, in the open projector, I have a different shot of that. And this one's a little fuzzy. I apologize. It's a lunar rover. And some matchbook cars. They're called, what was the television show with all those guys?
Street.
Sesame Street.
Thank you, Sesame Street.
Big Bird and Ask.
I think so. Oscar the Grouch.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah.
And since my name's Bob, I had to have a SpongeBob bobble. And a little Star Wars action. These are little things, kind of like David was talking about. They're carved of wood. My wife collects them. They're 2 or 3 inches tall.
Boy, they're
It's
really,
amazing how they can carve that stuff.
those are
Yeah,
really
you
well
took
done.
you took these with the hydrogen one, right?
Yeah, these are all hydrogen one.
And how far were you away?
That was too close. Not very far away. Maybe 15 inches on some of them.
These are all really effective on the Lume Pad. They're definitely in front of the screen, but it's kind of like a nice hologram effect.
Yeah, I noticed that. I think what happened was I cropped them, and it really made them punch out through the window.
Yeah, these are a lot of fun to look at on the tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Bob. And Ken.
Okay, here's a Viewmaster Funko Pop that just came out, I think, this year. So I saw that on a forum and I said I got to get one of those.
I have one. Yeah,
What does it do, Ken?
Nothing. It's not
How
hard.
do you blow
It
up?
poses for pictures.
yeah.
Oh, it's got the...
It makes smiles.
Yep, doesn't do anything.
It's collecting dust.
Yes.
It's cute though.
And you've probably seen these, the world's smallest. They have them in the stores, probably like a Target store or something like that. I get them. I got a Viewmaster and a Tinker Toy.
I can remember Tinker Toys. That was a big thing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Are there actual Tinker Toys in there?
Yes, there are.
Wow.
But this is mint in box, so I'm not gonna tear it
Yeah,
apart.
I thought you might not know.
This is my Simpson, one of my Simpson models. And there's buttons on there, and if you push the buttons, they actually talk. So that's Homer and Smithers and Mr. Burns. I've got the lunchroom and I've got the control room. And here we've got Grogu, Wally, and Stitch. And a bunch of Hello Kitty buttons. It's my wife's style room. And here are a couple of Stitches, and I think that's Doctor Strange and a couple of wild animals.
Yeah, it's amazing how many toys people still have. When you have a theme like this, they come out of the woodwork.
Now, the next three are STEM toys, and I've really been really happy because my granddaughter and I play with these things. This initially was my wife's, and this is Cosmo. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a Cosmo. They had one called Victor. It was a company called Ankai, I think, A-N-K-I. And the thing about the Cosmo, he's got an attitude. He's a little robot with an attitude. He's got a TV camera in there, and you can see his eyes. They're animated, and they're very expressive. And he'll jump around and wiggle and get upset. He plays games with you like Simon Says or beat him to punch. Oh, and those little cubes there, those light up, and they're connected to him somehow. So he sees them when they light up, and if you touch it before he does, then you win. Otherwise, he wins. He touches it first. So it's a lot of fun, but and it's got some kind of it ties in with the tablet, and you can train it. Like when my daughter or granddaughter comes over, it's got a camera on it, and it'll actually say hi and say your name. So very sophisticated. She loves it. She always wants to come and play with it.
Well, that's a sign of a good toy.
Yeah. Here's another one. This is Snap Circuits. I don't know if you've ever seen these. These are made in locally. They're made in Wheeling, Illinois, and which is I don't know 23 miles outside of Chicago. And These are a lot of fun. I like to put these together. My granddaughters put things together. She had like a sensitive one that she put in the hallway, and it lit up and sounded an alarm when somebody would come by. A lot of fun. And this is a bill box. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mark Rober on YouTube.
I'm not.
If you haven't seen any of his videos, you should see him. He has like the world's largest, what do they call it, elephant volcano or elephant something or other. He just does super huge things. And they have this series, the Crunch Labs has this series of build boxes, and you get one a month. You subscribe, and my granddaughter and I have done like probably 20 of these. And here are some that we haven't gotten to yet. But they talk about all engineering type things like flywheels and ratchets, linkages, mirrors, worm gears. Each one is separate. And it comes with that manual and the video, and the video is very entertaining. It's about a 20-minute video. He talks about it, all the things to do with the concept that they're trying to talk about. And then he shows you building, he shows them building whatever it is. In this case, it's like a gyro walker, but it's not built yet. I couldn't take any pictures of the real ones because they went home with my granddaughter. She's got them up in her room. Should take a picture and go over there and take a picture of the room.
Well, those STEM toys are great because, kids really need to be exposed to that sort of stuff, and I don't think school is the best place for them to, get excited about STEM subjects.
Yeah, these are great. Now this one, I took a radio-controlled car outside, and I took two pictures of it. One, it was on a little pedestal, and then the other one, and then I took it away and took another picture. And then so I could isolate it and play with it in Photoshop. Now, I didn't think of it at the time, and that's why I was asking Matt about the shadows. My daughter said a better way to have done it would have been to like suspend it and get the shadows, the real shadows, because there were real shadows out there. And then it would have looked more real. I mean, right now it just looks like I plastered it on the picture. But it was really there.
I'll say it again.
I just got rid of the little pedestal it was on.
I'll say it again. Shadows are hard to do.
Yeah, and that's why I thought what my daughter said was to suspend it, and then you get the real shadows, and you don't have to try and go back and put them in, because that's a lot of work. And then you
want to get a good camera.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for those photos, Ken. And David.
Yeah, any boy who grew up in the 60s probably recognizes these. Matchbox toys. I have a whole collection of them. I have several photos here. These are taken with the Lume Pad 1, which has a much narrower lens spacing than the Lume Pad 2. Okay, this one has some more cars, some of the same cars. And that car transporter in the background, I remember when I was a kid, that was the most sought after one in my opinion. I really wanted that. It took a long time before my parents would fork over the money for it. But that was, then there's, this shows pretty much all the different movable parts they had. Some you could open the hood, some you could open the trunk, some you could open the doors. And that travel trailer on the right has a lid on it, but I took the lid off so you can see the inside. And the boat, that's also a Matchbox toy. I seem to have collected a lot of trailers. You'll see some more in the next few pictures. Okay, here's a bunch of commercial vehicles. And one thing about Matchbox toys that frustrate all collectors, I think, is that they were never made to the same scale. So you have, what you see here is not just perspective distortion in the background, but some of those, like the moving van in the back, is very small. And it's just not to scale. Okay, here's some miscellaneous vehicles. Again, badly scaled, but more trailers and all kinds of vehicles. Then they made a set called, it's a bunch of ones called Models of Yesteryear. And my memory is that these were much more expensive than the little cars, and so I only was able to buy 2 of them, or get my parents to buy 2 of them. But, and then this is my whole collection. That base there, that's a cardboard map that Matchbox sold. It was called Roadway R1, and you could play with your toys on it. And it originally had a bridge that went over the center there. You can see the road kind of ends, picks up on the other side. And I don't know what happened to my bridge, but anyway.
Okay, thanks, David. And Jim.
I'm looking at these pictures on my laptop, but I can't get to full screen, so I'm looking at a picture 2 inches by 1.5. Anyway, that's Raggedy Andy. I don't think it's the actual Raggedy Andy that my wife made with, but it's the old, it's an old one.
That's a real old toy. I guess maybe they had them today, but
the newer ones, that you can buy newer ones, but they don't have the same look and face. There's another one. I went over to my grandsons are 15 and 9, I think, and so I said, "Do you have any toys?" So they found one cardboard box of toys and spread it out on the rug. And there they are. Now that's Raggedy Andy, and that's in memory of my wife. That's there she is, probably about the age when she would play with Raggedy Andy. Another scene from that box of toys.
reversed.
Those are very old. What did you say, David?
Oh, it's odd. It doesn't. It's hard to see in 3D.
Too many reds?
No, I don't know. The white thing on the bottom is way in the back.
I did that on purpose. I shifted that.
Hyper, I don't know.
I shifted that so that white thing is down below the rug.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm going to show my grandson how I do that with the W3. The 1-2 setting.
What is that wood toy up in the upper left? With a string and a...
Oh, that you have to catch the ball in the cup or on the peg.
Oh,
Yes,
so you
the
throw
ball
the
is
ball
hanging
up
from
the
a
string.
string, and the challenge is to get it to land in the cup.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Well, it's hard to do. I guess I haven't successfully done
Okay, thanks, Jim.
it. Okay.
And George.
Yes, hi. Okay, well, that's the old classic, the Slinky. And I have 2 pictures here. I'm pretty sure I did a mirroring with Stereophoto Maker. So that's not a real picture, but I more mirrored the top and the bottom.
There you go.
This one is real though. In this case I used a mirror, so I can't visualize now exactly what the mirror is, but half of the pictures reflect on the mirror. This is not a toy, really. It's in a museum in San Francisco, the Mechanical Museum, I think it's called, and it has arcade machines. So that's part of an arcade machine.
That's Laughing Sal.
Oh, okay.
The Museum Mechanique. It's my favorite place.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you know it.
It's
Yes.
just there on Sunday, in fact.
Okay.
That's an old mechanic.
Yes. Now this one is something similar, but this one is in Michigan, close to Detroit, and it's called the Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum, and it's filled with arcade devices, and some of them are on the wall. They look like toys all over, decorations all over the wall. It's a very interesting place. A very small place, but packed with arcade machines. And my last picture is from the same place. It gives you an idea of how the place looks. They have a little counter there, they sell things, and there's arcade machines to the right and left, and hanging things from the ceiling, just all over around here. So when I go to Detroit to attend the meetings, I leave early and then I stop either at the Toledo Zoo or in this place here to take pictures.
There's Humpty Dumpty in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, George. And so basically, David showed a quote at the beginning, and I take that to heart. The difference between the men and the boys is the price of their toys. And so, you know, people who know me know I like to hang out in maker spaces and meet with other, you know, in meetups with other makers. And this particular event was a tour. The guy who's right near that white robot is the CEO, and he basically buys things that he thinks he can use to, you know, get work from clients. So in other words, he bought that robot just because he wanted to be, you know, have the biggest, you know, robot that could lift the heaviest stuff, and then you see that dodecahedron in the background, which he basically used some of his machines to cut out the pieces and assemble them, and all those circles on the floor are from one of his hot rod cars that he has hanging on the wall. They were doing wheelies with them. So you see that green number 6 car hanging on the wall. That's what did all the wheelies on the floor. And then you see that white robot arm sort of toward the back, and then another dodecahedron on top of that, a little, I don't know what kind of booth, what they do in that booth. You know, he wasn't going to give us, you know, too much information because, you know, we were touring his shop, but since, you know, he does proprietary work, we got to see some of the stuff, but not everything. But there's another photo of that robot, and
that dodecahedron is the most warped one I've ever seen. Because each one of those 5-sided figures are not the same size. I mean, the same edges.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it's still a bigger one than I would build.
Yeah.
And there's another one hanging from the ceiling. There's one that's in the background, and then that big metal frame that's hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then just another view, and that little thing on the floor that's behind him. Oh, and I want to mention, the Beam Pro is a great camera because the camera you have with you is the camera you're going to use. And so this was something, you know, when I didn't know I was going to be taking pictures there, but when I saw all the cool toys, I, you know, took the camera out and started shooting pictures. And but anyway, the next thing I want to do is show a video. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is share my screen, and I need to share the sound too. And
Yeah, I was going to ask if you use a Beam Pro because this had they look like a Beam Pro pictures to me.
Okay, and so here comes my video. I don't know why that other thing showed up on the screen, but we'll just have to suffer through it. I need to move this off of that screen. Apologies, folks. Let me go back to the beginning.
It was working for me.
Yeah, it was working for me too.
Yeah, but it wasn't working on the 3D TV because Zoom put a window up in front, and so when I tried to start playing, it basically the macro wasn't talking to the right window. So let's go again.
Did you add that music, or was that playing?
Yes.
Okay.
So somebody's controlling that with that pad?
So, yeah, basically, that little remote control that he was using was very similar to the remote control used for drones. So there were two joysticks, and one joystick would make it go forward, backward, or side to side. And so you noticed it could go side to side without turning. It would basically just be sidestepping. And then the other joystick would make it turn left or right, or sit down or stand up. And then it had cameras which were showing up on that screen. And so basically that is Spot the robot dog. And if you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it. I think it's a six-figure sum. But they use that to go into a dangerous situation, hostage situations, or down in coal mines that may be filled with explosive gases, or that company just basically they didn't know what they were going to do with it, but they wanted one, so he just bought it, and then after he had it, he was able to bid on some jobs, like I guess he did a music video for somebody where they needed something like that in the video, and he said, yep, I can do that. And, since he had it and been playing around with it and knew how to control it, he was able to bid on the job. And so, anyway, back to... And so, and the nice thing about the Beam Pro, it's like a phone. I handed it to somebody and said, "Here, take a picture of me with the with Spot." And so, and so I want to talk a little bit about editing the video, because you probably noticed that in addition to putting in the title slides, there were fade in, fade out between the different scenes. So the total video that I shot was about 6 or 7 minutes, and I edited down to 2.5 minutes. So what I used to edit, I don't know if any of you have heard of DaVinci Resolve, but DaVinci Resolve is a video editor that it is available either for completely free. In other words, you can download it from Mac or Windows or Linux, and it's completely free, no charge, and fully functional, and that's what I used to do my editing. They also have a paid version, which is $300, which I might someday spring for, but I didn't. I just used the free version. I will put a little article in Stereo Views, but I got this book, and there are a lot of YouTube videos that show how to use Resolve, but it was pretty easy to put in the fade-ins and the fade-outs. And then the title slides were created using ImageMagick, which is another free program. And both DaVinci Resolve and ImageMagick run on a Mac. I will use a PC if forced, but I prefer a Mac, so I didn't have to use Stereo Movie Maker basically there are some programs like Magic Movie Edit and other programs that are window-based, and I was able to do that. Whole thing was edited on a Mac. So just a comment for folks.
Herb, did you say that? I'm sorry. Herb, did you say that this guy with the robot dog runs a makerspace?
Well, it's not a makerspace. I am a member of, a meetup of makers that go to different events, and sometimes there'll be classes, sometimes we visit maker spaces, and the particular this particular thing was just a tour of his shop, and he's not. I mean, he is, I think, a maker by heart, but I mean, this is a business that he does consulting work, so people can say, hey, can you do this for me? You know, I need a custom robot, or I need something made, or I need, lab tests done or something. And so he just takes on contract work. He doesn't manufacture anything or anything there. It's completely a contracting shop where they'll take on jobs for other people, and he likes neat toys. And so
must be very successful.
Okay, and so anyway,
Herb, I've got a question.
Yeah.
A question about the video, the frame rate. The last half of that video, the frame rate on this end is about 1 frame per second, and I'm thinking, was that an artifact of streaming it, possibly? Because the camera must take a faster frame rate than that.
So the camera, evidently, when I imported it from the camera, so I'm not sure where the frame rate came from, but it was either that was what came from the camera, or else that was the default in DaVinci Resolve, but it was 59.7 or something frames per second, which after I had the whole thing rendered, and it basically it basically had me choose the output parameters. It said it was going to render it at 59.7 frames per second, and I said, no, I want 30 frames. But you couldn't change the frame rate once it was all rendered. So that was the big lesson I learned. In other words, when I talk about, I'll put it in stereo views, when I talk about DaVinci Resolve, be sure to set the frame rate before you start importing your video clips, and then it will resample everything to the frame rate that you have. So I don't know if it upsampled to 59.75 or if it came from the camera that way. Maybe George knows.
I don't.
Okay. But in any case, I had done so many edits in terms of trimming out sections that I didn't want, and putting in the fade outs and fade ins, that by the time I realized that was the frame rate, it was too late for me to easily change it, so I just said I'll live with it. But it was pausing a lot on the 3D TV here as well, and I realized when I saw how jumpy it was, I just, because I played videos before on the meeting where I played the ISU videos, and I've never had that problem before. I realized that it must have been the very high frame rate that was just overloading the computer to be on Zoom and be playing it on the TV and streaming it, that it was just, I think that was what the problem was. But
Herb, I gotta go. My wife, as you know, had a stroke.
Okay.
So I need to go.
Okay, thanks for stopping by, David.
I'm really glad to come because it's great to get out of taking care of her.
Okay.
Excuse me about
Best
that.
wishes to you, David.
See you next time.
Yeah, next time. Great.
And so actually another comment about DaVinci Resolve, since the video from the Beam Pro is side by side. As far as DaVinci Resolve is concerned, I'm not editing a stereoscopic video. So the free version allowed me to do all the editing. If you want stereoscopic support, you have the $300 version will actually allow you to import left and right images and treat it as a stereoscopic. But as far as this was concerned, and the thing was, it was 3840 by 1080, so it was sort of a peculiar size. And DaVinci Resolve said, no problem. You know, I had to choose custom size because they had 1920 by 1080 or 3840 by 2160. I said, no, 3840 by 1080. It said, fine, I'll take that. So, in any case, it was the first time I've ever used DaVinci Resolve, and I am very pleased with how well it worked.
Good to know.
Anyway, Steve, is Steve here tonight? I guess he's not. So these are Steve's images, and I'll just go through them because I have no particular knowledge of what they are.
There's a lot of horses like these around Portland, but they're always tied.
Yeah, they have, for
rings.
people who have never been in Portland, they have this really strange thing because they used to have these little rings near the curbs for you to tie up your horses. And so there are people who get these little toy horses and tie them up at these rings. So you'll be walking around and see a 6-inch or foot-tall horse tied up at one of these rings that's in the curb that's basically cemented. It's a steel ring that's fastened into the cement at the curb. So keep Portland weird. Okay, and Mark.
Yeah, so my first two images are somebody else's toys here. I was over at the beach last weekend, and this was parked over there. They've got two toys along with, and the next shot also was from the beach. I don't know how this person could drive their car with this boat hanging up the front like that. It made me laugh how oversized the boat was compared to the car. So, but my other images, I had to go back into the archives here. I have two daughters. This is my older daughter, who's now 30 years old, so these are very old pictures, but this is Christmas morning, it looks like. She got some puzzles for Christmas, so she had to sit down and do them. We don't seem to have a lot of these toys around anymore, so I had to go back to images that include my daughters, too, not just the toys. And she got a little toy stove to cook things on there. And she'd like to get in the wash basket with all her toys there and kind of hide out, I guess. I think we pulled her down the hallway in that too, like a sled.
As long as she's not too heavy, that'll work.
Yep. And that was her favorite teddy bear, wearing swim goggles for some reason. Yeah, the Slinky. And there's a neighborhood park we used to always go to. It has this springy airplane. It has big springs underneath, so you could rock back and forth in it. That was one of her favorite things to do there. Another Christmas. She's a bit older in this shot. Must have got some paints, it looks like, for Christmas. And one of her favorite stuffed animals again. This one I set up some lights, and that's actually a roll-up silver screen in the background there. It made a good neutral backdrop for shots like this.
So Mark, have you digitized all those pictures from 30 years ago, all your family pictures?
These are scanned. Yeah, I have a slide scanner, so I've scanned a lot of them. I haven't aligned and cropped a lot of them yet. I've got plenty of work to do still. But yeah,
So you did those only for today's show, those ones here, or you already had them ready?
I had these scanned, but I hadn't put them together in Stereo Photo Maker yet, or cropped them or anything. So I did take the scans and fix these up for today. Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Did you shoot these with a realist?
Yes, it was a realist. This is my other daughter. She's 25 now, so she's quite young in these photos too. But she got some sort of a magnetic drawing pad there, and a magnetic stylus you could stroke across the tablet, and it would turn dark where you put the stylus. Yeah, a lot of toys out in the pool on the patio here. Oh, it's a Lego. This is Monica, our older daughter again. Some kind of a Lego creation there. And this is a toy that you snap those various colored pieces together, and when it's all assembled like this, you put a marble on the very top, and it rolls back and forth, all the way down. So we kind of got crazy, and I'm sure we had a ladder involved here, and I had to help put the highest pieces up there, and probably I had to put the marble in the top too. We got it all put together, but almost up to the ceiling there.
About how long would it take to get marbles come out?
Oh, it had to go back and forth quite a bit, but it didn't take all that long for it to make its way down. Yeah, another outdoor backyard shot here with the sprinkler to run through. My daughters probably would kill me if they knew I was showing pictures of them at this age, especially with the swimsuits here. I think this is the last one. This was one of those toys that you drop a quarter into in front of the grocery store, and then horse rocked back and forth, so she had to have a ride on the horse there.
If they had one today, you'd have to drop in $1.
Yeah, probably so, yeah.
Mark, these were amazing pictures. I mean, to think that these were taken 30 years ago with a film camera and they look so good today, better than, what most people do with digital. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks. Well, I was a big fan of Kodachrome, so everything I shot was Kodachrome. The color is just amazing on Kodachrome years later, decades later. It just holds its color beautifully, so if you can scan in, the color's all there, so yeah, it's a great archival material.
I love this show.
Yeah, beautiful pictures of your kids.
Thank you.
They're not just standing against a wall like my kids were being executed or something.
Yeah, I tended to take a lot of stereo pictures on our vacations, and then a lot of them just of the kids doing things with their toys there. So I've got a big storage container full of them here.
Okay, and actually, before we go to Open Projector, I just want to do an introduction. Dorothy is one of the people who helps keep the NYSA Presents running, and Mark, who basically took all those fireworks photos and was never able to make it to the NYSA Presents. So Dorothy at least now knows that Mark is a real person.
Yep, that's me. I did go back and watch the replay of both the first and second parts of that, though, so it looked like it went well.
Amazing, very great pictures. First time ever I saw fireworks this week.
Oh, thank you.
And so, Bob, Open Projector.
Okay, so I showed that lunar rover model I had. This is a full-size replica one. I think this was at a science museum in Denver. And that's my son whose toys I dug out to take pictures of. And I showed that lunar lander. This was the Science Museum when we went to the 3D Con in Wichita. There was a town about an hour northwest of there that had a science museum. So this is a full-size replica of the lunar lander. So it's just the leg. I was up on a balcony looking down on this thing, and I think that's the vehicle down on the left. So the astronauts had to climb through that kind of brownish thing at the very top, and then, with their spacesuits on and their backpack on and their clumsy boots, they had to climb down this ladder down onto that landing pad to then step out onto the moon. I never quite realized what that ladder looked like. I think that's amazing they did that. And then we took a little drive up to the Mississippi River to look at some fall colors. There's roads along the Illinois and the Iowa sides of the river that tend to be close to the river. So this is a viewing point. And if you see those little things that look like dust in the sky, they had a ton of those, are they called Japanese beetles? That look like a ladybug.
Oh yeah, those things
They had those flying all over, and they were landing on us and biting us and causing trouble.
Yeah, those things are awful. I don't know if they're around on the West Coast, although maybe they are in some areas. But I remember on the East Coast, they devastated my parents' rose bushes. Anyway,
so this is just a view looking down. That's a boat down on the Mississippi way down there. And if you drive down, sometimes they'll have a lookout place along the road you can stop at. So we stopped at this one and looked in the telescope. And we saw, like, there must have been about 150 white pelicans. They were all swimming in the river there and feeding. This is a park in our city. This tree just seemed to be like crying out, "Look at me, look at me." Everybody else is green. And just some fall colors.
Oh, I like that.
More color. And I think that's the last one.
Okay. So thanks.
Nice.
Thanks, Bob. And so actually I just wanted to mention something, since there were, a few photos of, space vehicles and stuff like that. I just received it today, a book from Amazon. It's called A City on Mars. Can we settle space? Should we settle space? And have we really thought this through? And I just started. I just received it today. I just started reading the introduction, and it talks about the real hardships of space travel, and basically people think it's a big adventure, and it talks a little bit about what the real problems are in terms of cost and food and uncomfort and medical issues. And so if anybody's interested in that, A City on Mars, look on Amazon for that. And moving on to Jim.
This is an art installation that's downtown. I can't think of the name of it. It's kind of fanciful and kind of silly. deep sea theme.
Octo Roboto or something like that.
I guess I recommend it, but it's pretty silly. Put together by 60 local artists. So this one represents seaweed, I think.
I've wanted to see that, but I haven't made it. That's really nice.
It's going until January or February.
Okay.
By the way, I fixed my display. There's a big slider that says image size.
Okay, I'm glad you found it.
I was putting up with a tiny picture, now I get full size. That's a stump that I came upon on 49th or 50th near Burnside. A nice subject, and then someone put the eyes and the mouth on there.
Mm-hmm.
This is another picture from that art installation. And then you look through a porthole and you see this little scene.
Was that a duplicate? Is that the same one again?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Jim. And George is going to give us, I think, an interesting presentation, as he always does.
Yeah, I try to have a common theme, and my theme now is some pictures that I took with the X-Real Beam Pro, and I don't think I could have taken with any other camera. Now I ran 4 marathons in 4 weeks. This is my second one in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is my wife, my daughter, and our grandson at the playground. So to take this, I laid down basically I laid down on the ground and I looked up, and I'm only 3 feet away from them. So really close. The combination of the less than normal spacing and the wide angle of view allow me to take this kind of perspective. Of course, after seeing Mark's amazing pictures from 30 years ago with the Stereorealist, I'm still far behind, but I can do some unusual things with this camera. Next.
I like the angle here, George. That's
Yeah. Wait till you see the next one. Oh my God, so now I'm totally under the sky. This is our grandson Theo, our first one and only. Anyway, fun stuff like that I can do with the Beam Pro. Next. Well, now we're back in Ohio, nice fall colors. Now this is a bridge, you understand it's not very wide. When I use the camera, I try, as I said, I try not to tilt it down or up. Most people will stand up and look straight or tilt the camera and slide down. I think that's an error. You just lower yourself and you shoot straight.
You have the stereo windows just right on that one, George. I see a lot of shots like this where there's massive window violations.
Well,
that's perfect.
One reason for the violation is if you don't violate the window, you have excessive deviation. But this camera manages because of the smaller stereo base. A lot of people are asking, they say, I wish this camera has a 65mm base. Well, I say no, then it will be like other things we have. We don't have something with 50mm and this combination. Less than normal base and wide field of view. Let's take advantage of these unique features. Next. Well, okay, so now I'm in Detroit, running the Detroit Marathon, and downtown they have this statue. This statue is called the Fist. It has a different name. It's called the Monument to Joe Louis, which was a boxer, I guess. So what I did here, I came within inches from the Fist, and just occupies the entire field of view. I mean, if you use a normal camera, you get a totally different perspective. And also, I went from down looking up from the bottom side of the Fist instead of looking straight.
Yeah, that's amazing. You wouldn't realize that it's that close.
Yes, I entered it in Detroit. They had their exhibition, and it got like 18 points. Like, far below zero. I was kind of disappointed. I thought it was maybe because I entered it in the creative section. I thought it was creative composition, and maybe they didn't think there was anything creative about this picture. Anyway, I think that was my last one.
Okay. So anyway, I think Dorothy is the only one here tonight who hasn't been in a meeting before, so I just want to let you know, for anybody new, the CSC publishes a newsletter called Stereo Views monthly, and it's a benefit of the membership. That's really one of the few benefits of membership, because you don't have to be a member to attend the meetings. But if anybody who's new and wants to receive 2 sample issues, just let me know. It's by request, say please send me the 2 issues if you put it in the chat, or email me. If you put it in the chat, give me the email you prefer. And obviously what we want to do is encourage you to join the club, but it's completely without obligation. So if after you receive the 2 sample issues you say, thanks, that's no hard feelings. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you. I can probably like a year ago or 2, because we have the rehearsal meeting from the New York at 9, usually 9 p.m. on Mondays. That's why I usually miss yours, because after we talked with Johnny and Jim and Jay, I just want to go to bed.
And that's certainly
but this time I said, I want to see again what you're doing.
Okay, well, thanks for attending. Hopefully it was you saw some good stuff and maybe learned some stuff from George. And so coming up, our next meeting, this is the big meeting each year. So our 2024 Cascade exhibition, the deadline for entries is 2 weeks prior to the meeting, and then 1 week prior to the meeting we conduct the judging for the exhibition. So you can find the details on the Cascade web page or on the PSA web page. If you're interested in entering the exhibition and haven't already, it's time to think about doing that. But basically, normally what we do is the first thing at the meeting is we show the theme photos. But for the November meeting, the first thing we're going to do is show the accepted, and HM and medal winners for the exhibition. So that will be the first thing we show before we show the theme. But the theme for November is windows and doors. And then, of course, open projector. And then we always, have a couple slides just so people know what's coming up. And so the December meeting, it's a few days before Christmas. I don't know if we'll get, if people will all be busy for Christmas or if people will come to the club meeting. But anyway, the theme for December is exhibits, and of course, open projector show and tell, as we always do. And
December, which day in December?
December 23rd. So it's always the 4th Monday in the month. So and so sometimes, like in December, it's not the last Monday. In other words, December has 5 Mondays. It's always the 4th, even if there's a 5th Monday.
Okay.
And so at this point, the meeting is officially over. But anyway, I invite people to hang around and socialize, talk, discussions about anything you wish. Stereoscopic photography, new devices, virtual or mixed reality. So anyway, for people who attended in person, I had some lenticular photos that I got from Peter, and we had an opportunity to look at that. But anyway, Peter, you might want to put information in the chat window for anybody who's interested in getting lenticular photos made. And,
yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Sadly, I cannot give out where I get them printed because they barely print mine.
Oh, okay.
I have a social connection through the Alan Lowe's manager who lives in Toronto half the year, and I got to know him years ago, and he gave me a contact of a printer.
Okay, that's understandable. I don't want you to violate any contracts.
Well, the thing is, if I open the door and everyone goes in there, they'll cut me off too.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the world's greatest customer, getting one at a time done and a few sent over and that type of thing. So they told me, please, that we'll do them for you because of our friendship through Mr. Khan. But
so anyway, for anybody...
Having said all that, I can do people's pictures if they want them done. And I can tell you how to prepare the artwork if you want to do your own preparation for doing a lenticular print through these methods.
Okay, that's good to know. And so
the one that for Herb, which was did the Rockwell the argument, the Dewey versus Herb's probably going to wave it in front of the screen. That's a Norman Rockwell picture of a couple arguing about Truman and Dewey in 1948. But what I did is I took the picture of Truman and Dewey out and put in the picture of Trump and Harris to update it for fun. So that's the kind of thing that I can get done as a one of a kind.
And we did show your photo, the non-lenticular, the stereoscopic photo. I think it was at last month's meeting.
I don't remember what that was. I do a lot of side-by-sides that I just show on a tablet or on a TV.
Yeah,
doing the lenticular section of it is a lot more work to get it ready.
Yes. So for people who are interested in lenticular, on the CSC web page, we have a collection of articles, including David did a class, and I edited the notes for his class. So I'm certainly not the expert, but I just took his notes and edited them and added some diagrams and made it look nice. So there's a PDF on the web page on doing lenticulars, and we've also conducted a class at my home where David was actually the one who taught the class, but I had a laminator that we could use, and David had some lenticular sheets, and he brought over a printer, and people could print their lenticulars and then laminate them, and so people all got to go home with a lenticular. So I don't know if we'll ever do that again, but in any case, that was something the club did many years ago.
Herb's notes and workshops on the lenticulars is absolutely fabulous. It goes into great detail and lots of methodologies and so on. So it's far more than I would ever be able to help out with, because there are some really fantastic practitioners of lenticulars, such as Michael Brown in Illinois. Is very well renowned in that field.
You know, there's a lot of lenticular prints at this magic shop in the Lloyd Center.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just filled with them, hundreds. So it's worth looking there sometime.
Boy, it's been a while since I've been at the Lloyd Center. It's a dying mall.
It's so true, but it's got a magic shop, so there you go. I had a question for y'all about large side-by-side prints, like for a wall that you would like look with a, I guess, a Wheatstone viewer and a mirror.
The prisms.
Yeah. Have you seen anything like that, like in a gallery setting?
I've seen a large anaglyph, but I've never seen large side by side.
I want to make one for my house.
You might ask David because, or I'm trying to think who else. Maybe Jim Olson. Is anybody who was at the old 3D Center of Art and Photography, if they remember anything like that.
We had large side-by-sides at the 3D Center.
Okay.
They work out okay for you?
Yeah, what's that little viewer called that snaps into a box?
Oh, are you talking about a Brian May's viewer?
Oh, like
No, it snaps into a black cube about.
Oh, yeah, I know what.
Oh,
yeah.
The Popey scope.
That's a reason. Or other things. Or just a prism. I used to do it with a prism on one eye. Or I'd stand clear as far back as I could, and I could do it free view.
What you do is you need to have somebody who has a semi-detached house, and the neighbor in one house puts one half of the image on, and the neighbor on the other half puts a different image on. Or do them as a red and blue. Paint their houses as anaglyphs and see what happens.
Yeah, that's good.
Really? I haven't seen any murals like that around here.
Well, I have a question for George. I have seen your tutorial about adjusting the perspective on images from that Beam Pro camera. Do you find that you need to do that very often, and were the images that you showed tonight adjusted that way?
No, none of these were adjusted. But occasionally, it just bugs me if the lines are a little converging and I don't want them to be, then I correct them.
Okay.
I don't do it very often.
Okay. Yeah, the images that you showed tonight, there weren't that many parallel lines that you could even tell maybe if something was distorted or not there.
Yeah, you have to have parallel lines, so I always use when I take a picture, I look at the background, and if I want to, it's difficult to tell when the camera is actually, perpendicular, so I look at the lines, see if they're converging or not, and then I correct it.
Okay.
But it's okay, I mean, another version of the statue, I'm looking at buildings in the back, and the buildings are converging a lot, which I think is nice in this case, it's not always a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody pointed that this is a natural thing, it's not really a distortion. Some people call it a distortion, but that's natural vision. It's exaggerated because of the wide-angle lenses. It doesn't really need to be corrected. And actually, if you correct, sometimes things look, if you have buildings that converge because you tilt the camera up and then you try to straighten them, the tops look bigger than the bottoms. I mean, you create some sort of visual deformation when you do this correction.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, my experience is it's worse when you take pictures of people because their heads get warped and everything unless you hold the camera perfectly straight up and down. And that's where that correction of George's helps. You can save some real wastebasket pictures that way. It's not just that camera, it's any wide angle, of course. I've had that problem with my cell phone, just taking 2D pictures of groups of people. If I'm not really careful, the people at each end of the group will have their heads warped. But you can fix it though with Stereo Photo Maker.
I was doing this correction even before this camera showed up. Like my iPhone, the normal lens is like 25mm equivalent, so it's quite wide. So if you tilt it, you get the same convergence too. So I was used to do that even before this camera showed up.
Okay.
Did you say you can fix it with a stereo photo maker, or that you cannot?
Yes, you can. You go under easy adjustment, it's called, and then you have different options. You can fix rotation, and you can fix this called horizontal perspective. You can change it so you can make the convergence lines to be parallel. When you do that, you also crop the image, so that's another problem with this correction. So I will say, if you don't want it, it's better to make sure to compose right. So you go under, it's called easy adjustment. The shortcut is the key K. If you press the K key, the screen pops up. So I do it often so I remember the shortcut. I press K and then the screen comes up. And then if the camera, if the picture is rotated a little bit, you can level it. Again, this correction is actually introducing a misalignment. It's not really a correction, but sometimes it's better to have the C level, level instead of a little bit rotated. So if you go in the screen, there are a lot of things you can do.
Then maybe I'd align the picture again.
After you do that, you can do another alignment if you want, to kind of eliminate any misalignments, reduce them.
Well, I'm glad to know about that. Thank you, George.
Hey, Mark, how did you take that picture of the tall toy thing up to the ceiling with your realist?
Well, that was heavily cropped. I got back for it. I mean, I used to have one of those wide angle attachments for the realist too, so that may have helped in doing there. But when I was aligning and mounting, getting that image ready to show tonight, there was a lot of the sidewalls showing that weren't involved in the picture there. So I did quite a bit of cropping and made it very vertical.
Yeah.
I have a bit of trivia regarding George's wonderful Laughing Sal photo that I responded to. Laughing Sal was an amusement park attraction, kind of an animatronic thing in the 30s through the 70s, and Laughing Sal makes an appearance in Man in the Dark, a 3D movie from 1953. Which was released by Kino Lorber, I think? Twilight Time. Anyway, a fun 3D movie. I think one of the first studio-released 3D movies of the 50s, and it's got some great shots of Laughing Sal. So, not as great as George's, but she's there.
I still haven't got my Blu-ray yet. I saw one on Kijiji that supposedly does 3D. Is anyone familiar with a Sony Blu-ray disc player BDPS6700?
BDPS6700. So I do have a Sony. I have several Blu-ray players. I have a Sony, an LG, a Panasonic, a couple Panasonics. I'll have to look and see what model of Sony I have. That doesn't sound like exactly the model I have, but I'll have to look.
Well, when I go see the guy, I'll try and look it up online to see if it plays 3D. I'll bring along the Fireworks movie to see if it plays on his TV or his whatever he plays it on.
Okay.
So, sorry, what did you say? I missed it because I have several Sony Blu-ray 3D players. So you're looking to buy one?
Yes, I haven't got a Blu-ray player after all this time, and yet I've got some Blu-ray movies sitting around.
You know, the prices are so low on eBay. You can buy like for $20, $30, you buy it. There's so many in the market that people are selling on eBay. I guess the more you want, like if you want to play 4K 3D, then you're talking about, if you want to play international versions of Blu-rays and things like that, then you might have to pay more money, but for just a simple Blu-ray 3D player, it's very inexpensive.
Yeah, so Basically, the last two Blu-ray players I bought the region free. So I buy them from 220 Electronics, which is a reputable seller of region-free players that won't lose their region-free privileges when the firmware gets updated. And
so how much do these cost? About?
Go to 220 Electronics. That's search for 220 Electronics. It's like from 220 volts. I mean, they make them in 110, but that's just the name of the place. And then you search by what you want. So in other words, if you want it to play 3D, check the box for 3D. If you want it to be 4K, check the box for 4K. And then if you want it to be region free, check that box. And then it'll show you all the players that meet your requirements, and you can see what the price is. It's been years since I bought them, but basically, occasionally I buy a Blu-ray from overseas, and it's not region free, it's not region A, so I need the region free player.
It opens
I
up a
saw
lot
that
of
site, Herb.
What's that?
I saw the site you're talking about, and I went on there, and it looked very comprehensive, and it was recommended in the NYSA show. But I'm trying to just get something local and.
Yeah, I'm not saying. In other words, if you don't need that the region free, then there are better places to get it. But George asked about the region free, so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, from what the word was, that's a good place to go look. For me, shipping's a monster to Canada anyway for anything. So I try to find stuff locally if I can, and luckily I have Herb's disc to hang to put into somebody's machine. Of course, if it gobbles it up, I'll have to get it.
That's your only Blu-ray 3D disc you have?
I have another one that's sealed, and my daughter wants to look at it first, and blah blah. And it's one of the Disney ones. I can't remember the title.
Herb, how many Blu-ray 3D movies do you have?
So let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 shelves, and each shelf is about 24 inches wide. So
wow.
So basically, my principle is. If it's a 3D Blu-ray, I buy it just on principle, even if it's an absolutely crummy movie. And I have some movies that I started watching, and I said, this is awful, and I just didn't even watch the whole movie. But I mean, I'm not selling it because, in other words, in 10 years you won't be able to buy it anymore. So, but yeah, but
Dial M for Murder is a great picture on its own. I'd like to get that one in 3D.
I have Dial M for Murder.
Another question is, do you view them on your 3D TV? Or
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it on my LG TV, which was great for 3D stuff.
So
stills and everything.
The nice thing about watching it on the 3D TV is that I can have a group of people over, and if you had, to watch it on glasses, you can't make it a group viewing experience. But it's an LG passive TV, so it takes the standard Real D glasses, and then I also have these clip-on glasses that I got on Amazon, so they're Real D compatible. They clip onto my eyeglasses instead of having to have 2 sets of frames wrapping around my head. And then I have, a home theater sound. So I mean, it's not really super high end, but it's so I have good sound, good picture. The LG. The 2018 model LG TVs were great 3D TVs, so it's a pleasant viewing experience.
Yes, I have a passive LG passive TV too, but lately I got this Goovies personal viewer. It's the G3 Max that you can plug directly to the Blu-ray 3D player, and then you put a pair of headphones and you're completely isolated. Like my wife sits next to me watching TV herself, and I watch my 3D movies. It's like I don't hear anything. Maybe she's talking to me. I don't know. I mean, I'm living in my own world, completely isolated. So this is what I've been doing every night. She goes to bed. I don't know. When the movie's done, I look around, and maybe I'm all alone sitting on the couch.
You've been married too long.
Yeah, maybe.
So for somebody who's looking for a 3D Blu-ray player and doesn't need the region-free part of it, I've seen quite a few of those at Goodwill even for $10 to $20 on the used market. So
I've been looking around in, not greatly, but in the thrift shops, I haven't seen any that look...
But Peter, if you go on eBay, Canada eBay, shipping will be more reasonable. I'm sure they should be for sale there, and make sure they have the remote. A lot of them don't have the remote, and then they're hard to operate.
Oh yeah, you gotta walk up and push buttons.
Well, usually they don't have a play button. They don't have any other buttons in the unit.
That's a good idea. eBay Canada be better. Yeah, the Kijiji is good for lots of Blu-ray players, but I don't know if all of them are 3D or not. And this one model came up that seemed to, when I went online to check it out, seemed to take 3D. This Sony one.
Yeah, for standard Blu-rays, I don't think it makes a big difference if the size of the unit can be different. You can have a really small unit or a bigger one.
Yeah.
I don't know. And some of them connect to the internet. I don't know if you're gonna use all the features. If you just want to play Blu-rays, then it doesn't really matter.
And it'll play normal Blu-ray too, I imagine.
Yeah, anything that'll play a 3D Blu-ray will play a normal Blu-ray, and it'll probably also play an old DVD that isn't a Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. Because I have two 3D ones, but I have about 4 non-3D ones.
Yeah, so it'll play those, and
Peter, what's the model
I'll
number
just
again?
keep looking. I don't want to spend a lot if I can help, but you guys have encouraged me that they can be cheap somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, give me that model number again. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Oh, it's the Sony Blu-ray disc player, Bob, David, Peter, S. Sam, 6700.
700.
and I think they all start with BDP, and that just means Blu-ray disc player.
Oh, okay.
One thing I have found when I purchase a Goodwill Blu-ray player like that, sometimes I'll need to hook it up to the internet long enough to update the firmware. Sometimes the firmware is older, and they play some of the discs better if you have updated firmware. And Sony, I think, still has that available. They'll still let you update.
That sounds over my head, this updating firmware stuff. But guess who lives only half an hour drive? Timo, who seems to know a lot of. He's a guy who knows lots of 3D stuff.
Peter, it looks like the BDPS 6700 does indeed play Blu-ray 3D discs, according to electronics.sony.com.
All right, thank you very much, because this is quite cheap, and it's on Kijiji and a short drive away to look at it.
You should be safe. Now, just be warned, you're going down a rabbit hole here. You might start a collection. You might have shelves and shelves of this stuff after a while. It just takes one to start. You started with one.
I used to have VHS tapes, and I finally chucked them all of old movies I never watched more than once, so I've broken the habit of that. Does it have a remote, that type of one? Do you know?
Sure it does.
It comes with a remote. Whether they are still there, I don't know, but it when they're manufactured, they come with a remote.
Oh, but you can get
A universal
generic remote somewhere.
Yeah, a universal remote should work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And Matt, you saw my message back to you there.
Yes, thank you. I will. I'll give you credit. I'm going to use the Dewey versus Truman conversion.
I'm not an American, and I'm putting an election thing. Maybe you leave me out of it.
Maybe I'll just credit it to Norman Rockwell.
He doesn't want to be in trouble for election interference.
Right. Depending who wins, I may be in trouble somewhere.
What we're talking about is the Golden Gate Stereoscopic Society's next meeting is Tuesday, November 5th, and I think we're all going to be too distracted to be talking about stereophotography, so I'll be rescheduling that for the next week. But Peter's fantastic conversion will make an appearance in the notification.
You saw the Wendell Wilkie one, didn't you?
I don't know if I saw that one. I think just
they say it's the best campaign picture ever taken. Which was him riding in a car with his arms outstretched and a camera right on him with all the motorcycles around him and cheering crowds.
I don't know this one. Is this something that you converted?
Yeah.
No,
I was around in 1940 and I just happened to get that shot. Sadly, just about everything I do is converted. I've said it now. I can't go back.
Well, I don't know why you think that's sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you why it's okay, let me tell you what. Let me tell you why it's not sad. There's not enough stereophotography in the world today. So if you have to convert things to have more stereo, then that's a good thing.
Well, especially for my neighborhood, because I'm trying to get the library to spring for a old LG glasses style TV for their library so that I can run all these conversions of Toronto local pictures in the 20s, which look really compelling. And but they haven't said yes or anything to that. So.
Well, conversions are a new art form. You're just at the forefront of it.
Well, like all new things, they can go bad or evil or good, whatever way it swings. But so if ever I need, if the library springs for this idea, they'll want to know where to get those passive glasses in mass on the cheap somewhere.
Amazon
for everything, yeah.
No,
the clip-on ones.
Yeah, just look for Real D compatible glasses. You can get them either in clip-on, you can get them with cardboard frames, you can get them with plastic frames.
So the trick is calling them Real 3D compatible.
It's just Real and then the letter D.
Oh, Real D compatible. Okay, thanks.
Peter,
Yes.
watch out. Some of them are children's size, so don't get the children's size when you need adult size, which are bigger. Also, that Sony player that you named, BDPS 6700, I have that one. It is sold by Walmart, new in a box, for $109.
Wow. So that's like 140 Canadian. The one I'm looking at is $60 from this place.
Yeah, that would be much better.
You're happy with yours?
Yes, I am. I bought it as a spare. It's got a Blu-ray 3D symbol right on the outer box.
Oh, that's good. That's a good clue.
Yes.
Peter, believe it or not, that I realize that I have the same model also. I'm looking at the instructions for mine that I pulled up on my computer.
Oh, fantastic.
So you're in good company.
Well, I better run out there and get it tomorrow, son. Try it out. And you just need an HDMI cable, male to male, basically. That's the only cable you need.
Regular cable.
Yep.
Yeah, HDMI.
Sounds simple enough. Thank you, guys. I take back everything I said about you.
Well, don't take it all back. Some of it might have been good.
And the best way to get the best way to do conversions is with Leia.
Yes, do you want to know what I do?
Yeah.
All right. I used to use other methods, but finally immersive AI, which is Leia, is the one I landed on because it seems quick and easy and does a very nice job to start you off in. What I do once I've immersified an image is look for the flaws. Well, actually, before that, I clean up the 2D image to take out silly things, hair fluffies, leaves that are awkward. I actually make the 2D picture cleaner to start with. Throw it through immersive AI, look it over from the grayscale to your original, loading it into the Stereo Photo Maker. And I use, when I put the grayscale map on the right, you use Alt plus D, which gives you a bunch of numbers you type in to take a look at the pair. And I type in 80, and I go to the subject that makes sense, and I click on it to get the depth, which is around 60, 70, 100.
I'm sorry, I lost you.
Sorry, I'm going way too fast for you to write all this down, but...
I'm going to turn the recorder on and ask you to say it again. Okay, I've got my recorder going.
Okay, so you're recording what's being said here?
Yes.
Okay, you go to your 2D picture, fix it up, taking out silly anomalies, then you run it through immersive AI, out comes a choose grayscale map, and I've paid for the subscription for some of those, so they're quite cheap, but they do cost some credits to use. When you have your, there is a free version, I believe, which is smaller size. You can certainly try that, or there's a watermark size that you can certainly see how you're doing, which I think is pretty.
Is that separate from the immersive process?
It's in the immersive AI program. You choose, large size payment type of thing.
Oh.
Not those exact words, but there is a way to see one that's fully watermarked, and you can see it in 3D before you look at anything else. So you need to know how to run the immersive AI a little bit. Because when you get your original in there, and out pops, they say it's been processed, you go to the processed image and choose horizontal as a choice of the various ways it rolls around an image. That makes them go straight sideways, back and forth. It's just a word, and in the upper part on the right it says 3D image. You click on that and up comes a stereo pair, left and a right, and you can push view full screen, and you see the whole thing over your entire computer screen, and you get out some glasses, look it over, and you'll see the quality of that. It'll be a left and a right, and you put on your viewer and look them over, and you can decide how good it is, or if you want to continue with it. This does not cost you anything. If you don't like anything, you can just exit right out of it, no cost. When I say cost, it's not you buy credits in advance and then use them up. It's quite cheap to use them, actually. They're not so bad.
It's cheaper than film.
Yes. No kidding. Anything's cheaper than film. So now you have a left and a, let's say you like what you saw in the left and a right business. So you go to the other side, which is, I forgot what the word is, 3D. It's the way you get a grayscale map. I use grayscale maps because to make lenticulars I need a grayscale map to make multiple images in Stereo Photo Maker. If you're not ever going past the left and the right, you can just save it as a left and a right, and if you don't even mind their little watermarks all over it, which are quite unobtrusive, but they're there, you can just watch it like that. But for anaglyphs, I just load the grayscale map of the original and put it in Stereo Photo Maker and then make it an anaglyph from there. There may be other, I'm not sure if you can get anaglyphs directly from immersive AI. I've never tried.
Why would you want to? You're better off getting the side-by-side and then making your own anaglyph, because the side-by-side is more useful in the long run than the anaglyph.
Yes, I agree with Herb on that. The side-by-side is your nice clean image, and then you can make an anaglyph on another source, like Stereo Photo Maker.
Okay.
So a couple months ago, Peter gave a demonstration of this to the Golden Gate Stereoscopic Society, and he allowed us to post his notes and a recording of his demonstration, and I just put that link in the chat, so you might want to check that out also. It's a few months old. It used to be called LeiaPix, now it's called Immersify, I forget.
Immersive AI.
Immersive AI. So the name has changed, but I think that his demonstration is still relevant.
Thank you, Matt, for mentioning that. Yeah, Jim, there's a great, it's recorded. But of course, a few months old in the digital world is like 1,000 years. But nothing much has changed, but it'll describe everything I'm trying to tell you verbally in a proper recorded system. And that knows where the link and everything is for that.
And I'll add the video, which is included in the link. The video itself is 4 hours, but the demonstration is not 4 hours. The meeting went a little long after Peter's.
I think that what happened was Matt didn't even hang around for the whole meeting.
Yeah, I went to bed.
So he let me stay the host so that he could leave the meeting, and I just let it keep going and going and going.
But look at the guest that we had after poor Matt left.
Yes.
Remember her?
Yes. Nima.
Nima was telling us that immersive was the new coming thing. He didn't mention the name. He just says LeiaPix is going to change in about 2 weeks. In this 4-hour thing, my little bit was maybe half an hour or less, and Nima answering questions, telling us stuff was 3 hours, which was great.
Yeah, it's a great video to watch. You just don't have to watch the whole thing to learn how to do these conversions.
Yeah,
it gets philosophical by the end.
So anyway, Jim, when it's all said and done, you can get a very nice conversion for yourself, if that's what you're looking for, as a left and a right, or even an anaglyph for that.
Yes, thank you.
If you want to go to lenticulars, another can of worms to open there. So I won't even start on that unless you want to really know. You do all that in Stereo Photo Maker, making multiple images, points of view, and the right depth and the right focal point. Because the printer, you think everything should be behind the window, but not with the lenticulars. You put the window about halfway through an image, ironically.
The other thing to keep in mind with a lenticular is there is only a single focus point. So you have to pick one point that's in focus, and everything else is not in focus.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, the printer has given me guidelines of where he wants the focal point that is not necessarily where the subject is. But it works for his machinery doing printing of lenticulars. So it's not necessarily the best place you and I would put it. But it works for the best print I can get out of them.
Well, thank you for all that explanation, and I will look for that video.
Well, I enjoyed very much your drawing lessons you gave me. Drawing 3D, that was fabulous. Kids still like that when they see it done.
My recent forum that I did in Wichita?
Yeah, I listened in on that one, and I think you did one in Buffalo, didn't you? Maybe not.
I think the one I did in Wichita was improved.
Yeah, it was great.
No, it wasn't in Buffalo.
Well, then I guess it wasn't Buffalo.
But
everyone contributes something of their own. That's what's so great about this 3D club in general, or 3D interest group. You can go to your interest and never bump into someone with a different, but also equally valid interest in the same subject. What club would have people with wooden viewers going with computer guys?
Right. Good
Not
point.
many clubs, I don't think, have that mix. Anyway, I'm complimenting all of us. I think we all deserve an applause for each other.
Well, I enjoyed the time I spent with you in Wichita, Peter.
Oh yeah, same here.
And so I discovered something interesting. I guess next summer the PSA convention is going to be in Portland. Lee, do you want to say anything about that? You're muted.
Yes, it is in Portland, and it's in September, and it's going to be right where a lot of you guys are out there in that area. And I think you will enjoy it. I plan to be there. And we hope to get a lot of help from the guys that are already there.
I won't be there, I hate to tell you. Unless you'll fly me out, then I'll come. Anyway, I'm going to say goodnight.
Okay.
And see you guys next time. And Matt, I'll try and... You're not having anything on the 5th, so that's
Not on the
good.
5th.
You'll have, when you do have it, and I'll make sure you get the Wilkie picture. I send it to you, but that's a great picture.
That'd be great, yeah.
All right. Take care,
Good
everybody.
night, all. Yeah.
I'm
I'm going to jump off too. I'm going to hit the sack. Good night, everybody.
I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the chat.
Do you have the chat up? Should be in your Zoom window. You might see an icon. It might be hidden unless you hover your mouse cursor around there.
Do I click on Zoom?
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah, you have to open your Zoom window to get to the chat.
Mine is hidden at the top, the 3 little dots. Top right, push the dots.
Way at the top.
Way up at the top, 3 little dots, push the dots, it'll say save chat as an option.
Okay, there, I found it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should.
Go ahead, Matt.
One of the last comments in the chat. Let me know if you don't see it. I can post it again. If you can't find
I
it.
found Okay, I found it again. Stereoscopic Society, it says. ggstereo.org, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you click that link, webpage will come up. And there's a YouTube video on the page, and then there are Peter's notes that he had made for his presentation. So you can follow along with the video, and you can read his notes as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank Peter. He did all the work.
Okay.
All right, good night, everyone. I'll see you all next month.
Good night, Matt.
Good night.
Basically, it looks like it's fizzling out. If there's nothing else, I'll say good night, everyone. If anybody has any last-minute questions, last call.
Good night, Herb. Thanks for all your work.
Okay. Have a good evening,
Yeah.
Jim.
Thanks
Very nice program tonight.
We get all together.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Mike.
See you guys next time.
Yep.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.